be part of the dudes.
Hi everybody and welcome to another ramble. It is Friday, the 2nd of October, 2015. If you can believe that, it's October already. I don't know where the summer went. Feels like we had like maybe 3 good days in the summer. Actually, we had a pretty good week in the summer. Actually, for me, summer was pretty good when Lewis came over for a week. The weather was glorious. It was like so goddamn hot the whole time. It was crazy. We had barbecues and stuff. It was really good. Here I am by myself today for another ramble. I don't really have an awful lot to talk about, but I'm sure I'll think of stuff to talk about as I get into it. I'm currently downloading a game called The Beginner's Guide by the guy who did the Stanley Parable. And I'm looking forward to it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It just came out yesterday, so I bought it today. And I'm probably going to record an evening with sips on it today as well, because I'm looking forward to it. I don't think it's a very long game, but Stanley Parable was just so awesome, wasn't it? Everything about it was just so good. So I've got high hopes for this one as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Other things for me recently, what I've been doing, what I'm going to be doing, and stuff like that. I kind of use these as like a bit of an update on like where I'm at with stuff, what I think about stuff, and whatever. Because I guess it's a longer format. I could just sort of waffle on and on and on about things and get ideas out there and try to remember those ideas and do something with those ideas. Not always, but sometimes anyway. Recently, well, mostly this week, I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone. And if you watch me live stream, you probably know that I'm pretty into Hearthstone right now. Judging by my past and the way that I play games, it could be something that lasts for another week or so and then I'll move on to something else. Or it could be something that I just end up playing a lot of until I get really sick of it and then move on to it at some other undetermined time. But the way that you sort of like cycle through games, I mean, some people will play a game to death and never stop, and especially if they start to create a lot of content around it or they stream it regularly and they depend on it for a living. You'll have people that are in a situation where they'll just play a game because they kind of have to or whatever. I'm pretty lucky. I mean, I've got stuff happening on YouTube as I always have. So it means that when I stream, I don't necessarily have to stream anything in particular. I don't feel the need to stream something so that it affords me a living or whatever. Streaming is, well, a relatively small income stream for me in general. I mean, donations and stuff prop that up, but really my bread and butter is still YouTube and probably always will be. So the stuff that goes onto YouTube is what actually sort of pays my bills and everything. Streaming and stuff is just something that's fun to do and obviously props things up because it does make some money or whatever. But it's just such a different sort of attitude. I feel like sometimes when I'm streaming, I just feel like I'm not even streaming. I forget that I'm streaming. I'm sitting here eating or picking my nose or not talking or whatever. And it, you know, the chat room is filled with people that are there every day. And it's nice to see those people over and over. A lot of them now I have on my friends list for Steam and Battle.net, and you know, I can play games with them and talk to them sort of outside of the streams, and they can spectate me like playing Hearthstone or vice versa or whatever. And it just works out. I feel like the community portion of it is very good, and it's a lot more sort of achievable or reachable than it is with a YouTube audience. I always feel like a YouTube audience is very far away because the comment section is just sort of filled with all sorts of different people. The volume of views that come through on a YouTube video are obviously a lot bigger than the amount of viewers that come to your average stream, or you know, people that are subscribed to my stream or whatever. So you always feel like a little bit of a disconnect because it's like just a much larger crowd of people. It's hard to sort of single people out and remember certain people and stuff. I mean, YouTube comments are not something that I spend a lot of time going through because some of them are very hateful. I mean, you'll hear a lot of other YouTubers talking about this kind of stuff, you know, like not bothering to read the comment section. I think there's an entire Twitter account that just sort of some people follow because every day it reminds you not to read your comment section. I'm not saying that I never read the comment section. I do sometimes. You know, occasionally if like I put out like a video that's a bit out of the ordinary or whatever and I want to see what people think of it or whatever, I'll check it out. Equally, if I'm in a video on somebody else's channel and I want to see like how that's gone down or whatever, I check the comment section. But Generally, there's a lot of nice comments in the comments section, as you can imagine, but mixed in with a lot of bad ones as well, which are not always amazing to read. I guess it just comes back to how we sort of operate as people. You don't mind getting a lot of like positive feedback, and in fact, you sort of crave positive feedback. But the minute somebody calls you like a gaping asshole, it can ruin your whole day, and you sort of focus on that one comment out of like the thousands of other positive ones where that guy is just sort of dropped by. He's probably never seen one of your videos before in his life, and is probably just farting around on the internet and decided to leave a comment calling you a gaping asshole. And then, of course, you go into like the crying game pose in your bathtub. You're all sort of curled up in the fetal position. The water is running. You cry yourself to sleep every night because you can't handle that somebody's called you a gaping asshole. And that's just sort of like the start of the end for you. I'm just joking. It's not actually that bad, but you get what I mean. So with streaming, it's nice because the people that turn up every day, and you do sort of recognize people, and you hear from the same people, and it's really nice. It's a nice little community. It gets a little bit sort of not, I wouldn't say spammy. I mean, there's a lot of betting and stuff going on in the Twitch chat for dicks and stuff, especially with a game like Hearthstone. It works very well for that kind of stuff because games are like, 5-10 minutes long or whatever. People can win and lose dicks like crazy all throughout the day, depending on how long I'm streaming for or whatever. And it can get like a little bit sort of spammy in that sense. But generally, you look in the chat and the people are having a conversation or laughing at how bad I am at games and stuff like that. And that's all great. It's really good. And then outside of streaming as well, there's always a couple of people chatting about stuff and, religions and all that kind of great stuff that you like to talk to about with people on the internet. The age old, like, let's have like a massive religious debate with people we've never met before on the internet. That's always going to go down really well. Anyway, you get a lot of that too, which is great. And then just generally a lot of people that sort of turn up, like I said, every day, talking to each other, and they seem to be like becoming friends and stuff like that, which is quite nice, actually. It's really good. I mean, I've met a lot of people in my life through games and like IRC and social media and stuff like that. And I'm always sort of like thankful for that because some of them have been obviously very important. I mean, like Lewis and Simon, for instance. If I hadn't met them in WoW, I wouldn't be here right now. But then other people as well that I've just met along the way that I've been fortunate enough to meet up with and, hang out with for a bit and befriend and stuff like that. It's been really good. You just sort of, you look back on your friends list for like Battle.net or Steam or whatever, and you go through and you're like, oh yeah, that person, this person. Oh yeah, I used to work with that guy. It's amazing like how you can almost like, it's almost like a timeline for your life, like your friends list. You can see like when people were added, what you used to do with them and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, actually. But getting back to streaming, which I've been doing a lot this week, one thing that I've been doing a lot this week, and I'm so far pretty happy with it. I don't know how many other people are happy with it. It's hard to tell. I've been listening to a lot of music on stream, which means that the stuff that I've been doing for Hearthstone isn't going to be able to go up onto the YouTube channel for copyright reasons. I'm still sort of like trying to find a way around this where I can actually listen to music and we can mess around and, watch YouTube videos on stream from time to time. And, some of it's quite fun. You stumble across something really hilarious and it's just fun to be able to play it and have a laugh and chats having a laugh about it and stuff as well. And, it just adds that sort of extra sort of like, yeah, we're just here hanging out sort of feel to things rather than, it feeling like you're a studio audience for something that's just going to go up onto a YouTube channel, even though it's barely edited and just sort of goes up in its entirety or whatever. I feel like for a game like Hearthstone, where it's like a very, very sort of grindy game, it's a game that you can easily sit around and play for, well, especially recently, seem to be able to sit around and play for like 8 hours straight. And it feels like almost like a hangout game, doesn't it? Like you're just sort of hanging out. Somebody's playing it. You got some nice tunes on in the background. People are like requesting tunes and stuff as well, which has been pretty fun. There's been a whole bunch of stuff added to like the trucking playlist that I used for Euro Truck Simulator, just through people saying like, hey, what about adding this or that or whatever? So I can play it on shuffle and eventually we get around to those songs and it's great and it's good fun. But I guess the only drawback is that it doesn't go onto YouTube. I'm not sure how much people are actually missing for that going onto YouTube. I mean, on Reddit, if something particularly funny happens or whatever, people are usually pretty quick to post like a GIF or, grab like a sort of like a stream cap, that's like a minute or two long, that shows like the thing or whatever. But in general, I mean, it's pretty long, I guess. It's probably a lot better if you're there for it live and you're watching it. Maybe not so much like after the fact, but again, it's something that's sort of like only just started recently happening, and it's again something that I just would gather feedback on to see what people think of it, and how they think of it. I know some people were complaining, saying that they live in America, time zone's different, they're not always able to make it for the live stuff, and then when they want to go watch the VOD, it's muted because there's a bunch of copyright music being played and stuff like that. I don't know if there's really any way around that, sadly. I mean, I could sort of change my streaming times. Right now, they suit me perfectly because of the way that things are going in my family life. Like, my son just started nursery, so I can basically drop him off to nursery in the morning and head straight in here, which is early, but it just means that I get a whole bunch of stuff done sort of before lunch, and then by the time lunch rolls around, I can eat and then stream for a couple hours and then just go home or whatever. That's probably all going to change pretty soon, though, because we're having a baby in the next 3 weeks now. Like literally, the new baby is due. The due date is in 3 weeks' time. We think that she's going to be a little bit earlier, just by the way things are going or whatever. But you never know. Sometimes they're really late. Sometimes it's like your wife has to be induced and the baby has to come out like unnaturally, I guess. Is that unnatural to be induced? I don't really know, actually. Anyway, it does happen from time to time. It's not like a rare thing. It's certainly something that they probably practiced a lot and stuff like that. But they induce your baby so that it doesn't stay in for much longer than it has to. Usually, like if you're overdue by a week or whatever, they induce you. At least that's how I understand it anyway. And then the baby just comes out and you're fine. But once the baby comes out, it's going to be all hands on deck. I probably won't be around for 2 or 3 weeks, just while I help sort of get things sorted out and settled. It's going to take a while for my son to get used to the fact that there's a baby around and that not all the attention is going to be on him. Although, like, we're pretty confident that he's still going to get like a shit ton of attention, because he has to, because he's only like 4 years old, or just about to be 4 years old. But of course, a baby, if you've ever had one before, you'll know how much work there is to do around them, how much your life changes. We're kind of ready for it. I mean, we've had our son for 4 years. We've been through all the motions with him when he was a little baby, to getting ready to go to school and stuff like that. So we sort of know what to expect, but we are probably a bit rusty, having not had to sort of go through the very early baby stuff for 4 years now. We're probably used to getting a bit more sleep than we were. We're probably a bit more used to having a bit more free time as well, because when kids get a little bit older, they tend to sort of get into routines, and you can get them off to bed at around the same time. Like my son now, when he was younger, he used to wake up in the middle of the night. That was it. He's up. He just wanted to be up. He didn't care about sleep or whatever, because they just sleep a lot during the day and stuff. So if he was crying at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever, that was pretty much you up for the rest of the day from about that point, because it's hard to get them back off to bed if they don't really want to go back to bed, sort of thing. Now that he's 4, it's great. He wakes up in the middle of the night and he's like half asleep, delirious, sort of says a couple of things and then just goes back to bed. Like, he actually just wants to go back to sleep, because he's sort of at that stage in his life where like he sort of values sleep and wants to get like enough sleep. He'll sleep in occasionally as well. And like, when I say sleep in, I mean sometimes he wakes up at like 7:30 instead of 6:30, which is actually pretty nice. Sad to say. But you do get to that point in your life when you have kids and everything, and you don't have like that much free time, and you can't just sleep in until 1 in the afternoon anymore. I used to sleep until 1 in the afternoon on the regular. I mean, weekends and stuff. Oh my God. And if I was like homesick from work, Jesus, I would sleep until like 2, 3 in the afternoon. No problem. That'd be great. Just stay up all night and stuff. But you can't do it when you have kids, unless you want to be like a really sort of like distant and detached parent who never has to deal with their kids ever, which is also, I mean, props to you if you can pull it off. I mean, I've not been able to for 4 years, but who knows? Things might change and I might be able to become very, very distant and detached. We'll have to see how things go. But anyway, I'm in the process of getting myself set up so that I can work from home more. If I can get to the point where I can work from home more, it means that I'll probably, coming back to streaming, be able to stream in the evenings instead of sort of in the afternoon and stuff, which probably works out better for multiple time zones. Not so much for Australians, though, it's got to be said. I think Australians now are pretty happy because if I start really early in the morning, it's like a decent time for them in the evening. So they're like, okay, great. This works perfectly for me. But if I start streaming in the evenings, my time, I think it's like in the middle of the night for Australians and maybe they'll get mad. So, I mean, it just goes to show you can't always please everyone, but I try my best. Sometimes, not all the time. I mean, a guy yesterday donated and he's like, every time I come to your stream, all you're doing is playing Hearthstone. Can you please play something else? I don't want to watch Hearthstone. I as much as I would like to just sort of like please everybody and play other stuff, it's just the way that it goes, isn't it? You just want to play what you feel like playing at the time. And that's what I was playing and that's what I felt like playing. So that was that, unfortunately. But normally I try to keep as much, well, especially on my YouTube channel now, I'm trying to keep as much variety as I can so that, it covers more bases for people. People don't get too like bummed out with, just highlights or just a long playthrough or whatever. There's been lots of evenings with Sips recently, and I've been enjoying them a lot, actually, because I've gotten to play like a whole bunch of new games. There's a big backlog of games that I'd never heard of that I'm just sort of working through. People keep suggesting new stuff as well in that Reddit thread and on stream and stuff for me to check things out. So I've got a little bit of a list going of stuff that I'll do for an evening with Sips. And normally if I play something in an evening with Sips and it's very good, I'll go off and I'll play it on my own, or I'll sort of like earmark it for something that I could do a Let's Play of later on, like Bounty Train. Like I think once Evoland's done, I'll probably pick up Bounty Train. I haven't played it much in my spare time, but it's something that I'll probably play, for YouTube as like a longer sort of Let's Play, and then weave that in with either some highlights, some evenings with Sips, or anything else we're doing. I'm doing this like Polaris Civil War branded deal thing. It's a weird one. I mean, brand deals are a really weird one for me. Like, I'm sort of the mind. I was talking to like Sly Foxhound and Total Biscuit about this the other day when we were practicing for one of these Polaris things. Brand deals, in my mind, I always find that brand deals come through from games where the game is either struggling or the developer knows that it's going to be something that is going to struggle to get popular, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like they probably like their game. They probably have poured so many hours and hours of passion and everything, and they've probably spent a lot of money getting the game off the ground or whatever. But maybe they get to the point where they realize that, hang on, we need to promote this somehow. It's not something that's going to like gain publicity just virally or whatever. It might not be this game that's just immediately compelling enough to grab this mass attention that we need it to get so that we can, make our money back that we've invested in making this game or whatever. And I'm not saying that this is definitely the case. This is just what I think. I think that a lot of like brand deals that we get through for games are games where, people aren't overly confident that it's going to really take off. So they need that extra little push of like sort of promotion and advertising and stuff like that. And I find that in the past, a lot of the brand deals game stuff that's come through, for me at least, have been games that I've not found very fun. They're not games that I would ever really consider playing in my spare time, or they're just not genres that fit with the type of games that I tend to like to play or whatever. So I normally turn them down. Occasionally games have come through where it's been like, hey, would you like to do a brand deal on this? And it's something that I've already had planned to do for like an evening with Sips or something like that. So I say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I was planning on doing it anyway, so I might as well. And then other times, stuff comes through and they're like, would you like to do a brand deal on this? And I just say, no, I'm going to do it anyway, but like I don't need a brand deal. Like you don't need to pay me to play this. I'll probably just play it anyway and we'll just see how it goes, sort of thing. The Polaris Civil War brand deal, if you like, is not for any game in particular. It's like this like Full Sail University thing that's just trying to get some publicity and trying to get its message out. And it's using people that have a lot of subs on YouTube to do that. But the whole thing is, Polaris picks games for us to play, or Jesse picks games for us to all play, and it's all stuff that is, you know, stuff that we all either played before, or we have some knowledge on, that we can get together and we can do a tournament style when we play these games, sort of thing. So it's a brand deal that it's the kind of thing that I would probably go for, if you like, and I did go for this one because it's more of like an experience thing, isn't it? Like, I don't mind promoting Full Sail University, and I don't mind if they want to pay me for that. But for me, it's just a great opportunity to hook up with people that I would never normally hook up with, meet them, play games with them, create content with them or whatever. And it's like a fun thing to do. It was like the Anki Drive thing, like the remote control cars thing that I did when I went to LA. The experience itself was awesome. It was totally worth doing just for that, because it was like, I mean, I'm not saying their product is garbage. It's not. It's actually kind of cool. But I'm a 35-year-old man with no interest whatsoever in race car tracks, so it's probably not something that I would go out and buy. I mean, maybe my son would love it, and actually, when he's a bit older, I might set it up for him so he can play with it, because he probably would love it. But actually getting to go out to LA, doing like a big sort of like tournament in like a big Disney studio. The production value was like really awesome. I got to meet like the guys from Game Grumps and like PewDiePie and all these people that I probably would never really meet otherwise. We're all part of the same network, but everybody has their own stuff to do, and they go off and they do their own things or whatever. And, I got to go out there with Duncan. We were out there for a couple of days, and the whole thing was just really, really fun. It was just awesome. It was just such a fun experience. We got to meet a bunch of cool people. We got to hang out a lot and stuff, and it was just really cool. It was just really good and worth doing, and much more worth doing, I think, than just simply picking up a game that maybe you're not interested in and getting paid to do it. There's like a line for me where like I don't want to like just pick up any old game just for the sake of it, just because there's money involved or whatever. If it's a game that I don't like, it's I don't really want to promote games that I don't like necessarily, especially if I really don't like them. I think they're like utter fucking trash. Like, I really don't want to promote that game. But like anything that involves some sort of experience where I can like meet other people or do something cool or whatever, I'm normally always up for that. And then my big one is like, if Blizzard ever want me to do anything, I will do it, because I'm just like a shameful fanboy, and always have been of Blizzard. I've always played every one of their games to death every time they've come out. I've always been like overly hyped for them. And it's just my thing. I'm sure a lot of other people I agree with that as well. So if Blizzard turn around and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to give you some money to do this. Yeah, every time. Where do you want me to be? Yeah, I'll turn up. Oh, you want me to come out and see you at your headquarters? Yeah, sure. For one night, it's going to take me 10 hours to get. Yeah, I'm there. But like, I don't care. Like any time like I can do anything with Blizzard, I'll definitely do it. And I feel no shame in that either. Part of the reason why I got into all this was so that I could get like it's pretty funny to think I make a living off this now, but one of the big reasons I got into this in the first place was because I thought that I would be able to get beta access to Blizzard games, and I do now, which is great. So score one for me. That's like one thing off my bucket list, getting instant beta access to like all of Blizzard's games without really trying. Terps just like sorts it out for us every time. It's awesome. It works out really good. I don't know if it's going to work out that way for Overwatch. I really hope it does, though. That'd be great, because I'm really looking forward to playing Overwatch. I can't wait for it to come out. I can't wait to play it. It's going to be really good. But for now, just stick to like Hearthstone, Diablo, and whatever else comes out, and that should be fun. So, God, a really big ramble. Do I have to apologize for rambles at this point? I mean, the name of the show is rambling, so I guess I'm sort of doing it right, I guess. Updates from me, I guess there were a few. With the baby coming pretty soon. If you notice that I just sort of disappear off the face of the earth in the coming weeks for sort of 2 or 3 weeks, it's because we've had our baby, and there's a lot of work to do, and I just need to take a break basically when that happens. I'll try to get as much stuff as I can ready before that happens to cover, but it's really hard to prepare 3 weeks worth of content to cover. Plus, so there'll definitely be gaps. There might just be like a week or 2 where there's nothing, and you'll just get the occasional sort of tweet from me at like 4 in the morning when I'm sitting rocking a baby back to sleep or whatever, or I'm just covered in barf or something like that. But it's all part of it. And, you know, it's probably nice to have a little bit of a break anyway, sort of concentrate on the important stuff, get yourself sorted out and everything. And then hopefully with some luck, I'll be all set up to work from home. I could do some streams at some different times and stuff like that, be a little bit more flexible around everything and stuff. And then once we're sort of settled with the baby and everything, I'll get back into a normal-ish routine of doing stuff or whatever. And that should be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to being up in the middle of the night on the regular and getting no sleep or whatever, but I am looking forward to bringing up another child. It's fantastic. It's a lot of work. A lot of people are put off by how much work it is or whatever, but it's honestly the best thing. Nothing compares to it. The point that they get to when they're old enough to sort of like tell you that they really like you and stuff like that is pretty awesome, actually. When you put in like so much time and effort into making sure that they're okay and making sure that they're happy and fed and watered and all that kind of stuff, for them to turn around and say that they really appreciate it is always a really nice thing. So if you're ever like considering having kids and you're not sure about it, just remember, there's a heck of a lot in it for you as well. Even though you do have to put yourself out an awful lot, it's totally worth it. But if you're like 14 years old and you're listening to this right now, do not fucking think about having kids, because you've got like at least, I'd say, what, like 10, 12 years still to go before you have to really start actually thinking about that kind of stuff. Even then, I mean, people have kids so late now too, don't they? Like you always see like celebrities like, I'm 65 years old and I've always wanted to have a kid, so I've just had one. So like it's never too late, I guess. Well, medically it could actually be too late, but I mean, there's always ways around stuff, right? So you could have that dream child of yours when you reach the tender age of 65 if you really want to. But my advice is, have kids when you're like 30. If you've been married for a couple of years already and stuff like that, it's great. It's like, it's really good. You kind of know what you're dealing with and stuff. I mean, the road's a pretty rocky one no matter what with babies, but I think if you're like settled and you've done all of your partying and traveling and all of that kind of stuff, and you're ready to you know, rip one out. I'm talking about a kid here. Ready to rip a kid out. I don't know if you can refer to it like that, but anyway, if you're sort of like settled and you're like older and you know you've got like a husband or a wife or whatever already, and I think that's like a good age. Like your early 30s for sure. Any sooner you might be like, oh shit, I want to be out having a rave right now, and like I've got to sit home and give milk to my baby or whatever. You might be like a bit resentful, but I think as you get older, you sort of become more accepting of the fact that like you can't just like be like a gigantic man-child your whole life. Well, I seem to do it okay, but I think in general, it's not something that you can do your whole life. So you sort of have to get to the point where you're like, you have to have kids. But then the idea is that you have kids, and as they're growing up, you become even more of a man-child because you relive your childhood through them, right? Like I spent all last weekend watching Star Wars with my son, which is fine by me. And like, after we were done watching Star Wars, I was like, hey, you know what would be really cool? Why don't we get Ghostbusters? And he's like, Ghostbusters? What's that? I like ghosts. And he likes like spooky skeletons and stuff. He's like really stoked for Halloween. It's like, well, it's a movie about these 4 guys who have a containment unit and traps, and they have guns, and they go out and they catch ghosts, put them in the traps, and store them in the containment unit. Well, his whole fucking face lit up like a Christmas tree, and he was like, whoa, my God, what? This is a movie? I can't wait. So next weekend, which is like tomorrow, going to be watching Ghostbusters 1 and 2, like on the regular, probably 30 times each, which is okay by me. That just sounds perfect. So that's my whole weekend sorted out. I hope you also have a good weekend. You probably won't get this until Sunday, I guess. So you've probably already spent most of your weekend, hopefully, watching Ghostbusters 1 and 2. If not, it's never too late. Go buy Ghostbusters 1 and 2 and watch them like right now. It's totally worth it. They're fucking fantastic movies. They haven't aged at all either. Oh, well, they have aged, but they've aged really well. They're still like really super watchable. They're not corny at all. They're like really fucking good. Bill Murray's in them. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, you couldn't ask for more. It's incredible. Excellent. All right, well, thanks for listening to me ramble. If I missed anything, or if there's anything that you have some burning desire to know about, hit me up and let me know. I do ramble on and on and on, and oftentimes lose track of what I'm talking about. So if there's anything that's unclear, or I didn't finish what I was saying or whatever because I started talking about Ghostbusters or like my balls or something, let me know. And I'm always reachable on Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that. So just give me a shout and let me know. And until then, until next time, I will say goodbye. I might be back next time with like maybe Terps or somebody else. Just depends on who's around when I finally decide to record one of these. And we'll carry on doing the rambles because they're fun and I like to ramble. Nice, eh? Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening and see you next time.
I want to be part of the stunt crew. I want to be part of the dudes. I want to be part of the stunt crew. I want to be part of the dudes. I want to be part of the stunt crew. I want to be part of the dudes.